Ignatius, if someone wanted to do this course, what would you suggest they do?
Two things. The course is about 1,000 pages, and most of us are not disciplined to study it. Right? We might read the first 10 pages and find it very dry.
Because it's a very thick volume.
It's more than 1,000 pages, right? And it is divided into 3 parts. There's a text, there is a workbook, there's a manual for teachers, and it becomes very tough reading. Right? You cannot read it like reading a novel. Right? You have to really study it. So if you're a disciplined person, then the best is you study it yourself.
On your own.
You buy the book, and you allocate a few minutes, and you study it little by little, right? And that's what I did.
Right.
And then I found I started talking about it, and then people got interested and said, "Why don't we start a session?" And that's how it all began to grow. You see. So sometimes you find that when you come for workshops, there are certain things that you have to do before you come to that workshop. You should have done your reading, you see. So if you came to one of my sessions, I give you a set of handouts.
Right.
And I talk around the handout without reading the handout to you at the workshop. I ask you questions and I ask you to write certain things, right? And then we discuss things with questions. And then I ask you, when you come for the next session, I want you to read that handout and write your comments, and we'll take it to the next level. Right? So we build little by little and get to understand this whole course and how can we put it together and make it meaningful to our lives. You see, the Course in Miracles is not something that all of us must uniformly adhere to. Right? Your own style of living is different from my style of living. So how do you take the principles of the Course and apply it to your personal life, right? Which is totally different from mine. So the Course in Miracles is a very personal thing. Right? It's you. It's you and your real self. It's an interaction between you and who you really are. I am purely a facilitator. I just help you to bridge that gap. Right? Perhaps a little more faster, in a more disciplined way. Right? Because sometimes when we do the course by ourselves, we tend to become lazy. We don't do our reading. It's like studying a language. If you go to a class, you are required to learn certain things before you go to the next class. Right? So it disciplines you. Most of us are not ready for that discipline. Right? We just want to take our own time and do things, and that's fine if that is what you want to do. Right? So there are advantages of coming to a more structured class, because it helps you to structure your thinking. Right. And get you to do the reading, because you cannot read the Course in Miracles like you read a novel. Right? The Course in Miracles is best described as a symphony. Right? A symphony has a number of movements, and you bring all these movements together and it becomes a symphony. You can't listen to one movement and say, I know the symphony. Right. So you cannot take a little part of the course and say, that's the Course in Miracles. So it's a lifelong commitment. But if you get that first 6 months or first year into some structured organism, then you find it much easier.
And can I ask, how has this course changed you?
It has.
How has it affected you?
100%. In the sense, my whole value system that I had before I started with the Course in Miracles has completely changed. In other words, if I was to put it in a nutshell, your view of life and your view of yourself makes a radical change. Only you can experience that. Right? It is like if there is somebody whom you love, and that somebody gave you a present, you begin to place so much of value on that present, not because the present is valuable, but its meaning is valuable, because it has affected your whole life.
Right.
See, let me give you an example, right? When you buy your first car, right, you begin to realize that you can go wherever you want at any time, and you are not dependent on trains and buses and timetables, right? You just get into the car and you go. Right? Now, it gives you a sense of freedom which you did not understand. But once you get the car, you forget the value of that freedom and you abuse it. So you drive like a mad person all over the place, and then you abuse all the other drivers on the road, or you complain that the roads are bad, when what is actually wrong is the way you handle your driving. Right? So the Course is like a car. Right? But if you really, you can abuse it and you can use it. So that is why coming to some structured lessons makes you get that sort of dimension and puts you in a path that you can handle it yourself after that.
Right. Yes. Well, I attended your course today, so I had a taste of the course, and I think it's definitely worth exploring.
Well, you're welcome.
So I will be most likely attending some of your other courses.
Oh, great. That's great news.
Okay. Thank you, Ignatius.
Thank you, Shri.